Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from JewCod39. And before we do get into it, I do want to give you a warning that there is talk about miscarriage within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, Would I be the arsehole if I told my best friend's ex-husband that she is not planning on remarrying him when he leaves his current wife? That title took me a moment, I gotta be honest. OP says, I will leave all ages, names and locations anonymous because, read below. My best friend and her ex-husband were couple goals. At least I know that my best friend loved him so much. When she found out that he cheated on her with a co-worker, she was in so much pain that she miscarried. She left him, of course. After a short while, we heard that he started dating that colleague. It gave her more pain and it didn't help that the woman was gloating about it on social media. Anyway, my friend started speaking to her ex again and told him that she missed him, etc. He left the co-worker, but then my best friend said that she couldn't forgive him anyway and broke it off again. Again, he started dating the co-worker again. This time the co-worker demanded that they got married because of what he did when he left her. This time my friend was very cool about it. She wasn't in pain and she just said, oh well. They got married last August. Today I know why she's been too cool about it. She'd been talking to him again, and before resuming any relationship with him, she wants him to get divorced. Then she told me that once he is divorced, she would tell him she didn't want him anymore. I was shocked. I told her so, but she was very indifferent, saying that she didn't lead him on, didn't sleep with him and didn't promise him anything, just that she wouldn't want to have anything to do with him if he was married. I told her that this was going too far, but she got upset and told me that I would be the arsehole if I warned any of them. Am I the arsehole here? K Italy says on the back of this one, frankly, the most important thing for you here is helping your friend move on. Whether she is an arsehole or not doesn't matter. She shouldn't spend her time plotting revenge because it is not healthy for her. OP replies saying, that's the thing. I'm not sure if she's handling the situation the best way to move on. I'm worried about her. K Italy replies to that and says, I agree, but that isn't going to be solved by telling the ex. Leave the ex to his own devices. He's obviously an idiot anyway. Try to help your friend move on for real if you can. She might need therapy, especially grief therapy for the miscarriage. Happy Few says yes, major arsehole. These people have inflicted so much pain and trauma on her. Not everyone is the high road type. Let her have her revenge and stop judging her for how she goes scorched earth. Turbulent Message says you would be the arsehole. The ex and his girlfriend or wife will probably not believe you because you're the ex's best friend, and your best friend will not forgive you for betraying her confidence. Stay out of it, and tell your friend that you don't want to hear any more about her plans. Reaction Novel says, to be honest, all this story is telling me is that man does not care about either woman. He most likely was never loyal to the affair partner anyways, and just likes playing games between two women that seem to be vengeful towards each other. Your friend wants to show the affair partner that she isn't special, and the affair partner wanted marriage to make her win seem solid. But yeah, just stay out of it because if he can easily be convinced now, even if it wasn't your friend, it was going to be another woman. He seems to struggle with temptation. Plant Whisperer Banana says, do you know what? I think you should stay out of this. The ex-husband deserves this, and his current wife isn't much better. Plus, if anything, this would probably be doing her a favor as he's messing around behind her back too now. What an absolute piece of garbage he is. It's incredible. Just be there for your friend, and if this is what she wants to do, let her. It's not healthy, but whatever, she's been through a lot. Maybe this will help her to gain closure. If she goes through with it and she's still obsessing over getting revenge on him, then I would recommend stepping in and helping her to get external support such as therapy. And a lot of the comments in this one were basically wanting that revenge, saying let her go through with it, and some people saying you're siding with a husband. Maybe some people even suggesting that she's got a thing for the husband if she was to tell him. And many people talking about, revenge being therapeutic for some people, maybe even closure for some people. I think for myself, I wouldn't step in and say anything, but I would certainly be concerned about my friend's mental state in that time, if it is going to give them some kind of closure, or are they just in so much pain from what they've been through, miscarriage, infidelity, their whole life been turned upside down, and then having to watch someone go and get married again, and constantly having that guy to the forefront of your mind can't be healthy for you. And I know it's a very obvious thing to say, but I would encouraging her to seek that professional help to try and help her through things like the infidelity, the miscarriage, and everything that's gone on, and just remove her ex-husband out of her life, because that's what she deserves. But OP came in with an update and said, so here is my update on what happened to my best friend and her ex-husband. I'll try to link the original post again. I ended up not warning the ex-husband like you guys advised me not to. Again, I will not divulge any information about locations, names, or age. Shortly after my post, my best friend asked her ex-husband to make his divorce announcement public, to say how he regretted it and how he still loved her and wanted things to work out between them. I guess she wanted everything to be on social media for everyone to see. He was more than willing to do it. Afterwards, he thought everything was going to be fine between them because he did everything she told him to. He showered her with flowers, sent to her place every morning, and expensive gifts that my best friend just kept in her hall, unopened. She told him that she didn't trust him yet because as long as the divorce wasn't finalized, he could always take advantage of her and go back to his co-worker. The divorce was finalized last week, and of course the first thing her ex did was calling her to tell her the news. After that, she ghosted him, and she hasn't answered his calls since. I met her yesterday, and she was so elated. I've never thought that vindictiveness and revenge would make someone this happy. She said this was the first time she felt happy since she found out about the affair. I felt very sad inside, and I don't know why. I love my friend, and I don't want her to change, but I don't recognize her very much. I asked her if this was it, if she really felt happy, and she said that she did. She was ready to move on. I asked her what if he and the colleague ended up back together. She said that she would not care at all, that she hoped that they would get back together now, with what happened always being between them, but that she wouldn't begrudge them moving on. Separately or together, she didn't care anymore. She sent back all the unopened gifts. I don't know what to feel, but terrible sadness. These two loved each other more than anything and were so happy together at one point in their lives, and now, and my friend, she was the kindest person I know, and now. Oh well, this is my update. On the back of that one, there was a couple of comments. Cool Stick said there's a reason people hate cheaters so much. The damage it does is severe. Consistent Ad says, let me get this straight. 1. He cheats with co-worker, causes her a late miscarriage. 2. Dates co-worker. 3. Begs for wife back. They talk. He's still a cheater. She doesn't trust him, so he goes back to the same co-worker. 4. Marries the co-worker, so he won't leave her again, still begs for X. She said publicly declare love and divorce her. 5. Long-term revenge. He divorces co-worker and tries to win her back. Friend is finally at peace. The reason she doesn't care. Your friend showed the other woman, co-worker, he will always want her. He is still a cheater and nothing special, and if the co-worker takes him back, they will now have all this between them. I can see why she is at peace now. Hopefully she will move on. Just be a friend and support her. These two loved each other more than anything and were so happy together at one point in their lives. Love wasn't enough for him to betray her and cause her the most pain a person can have. OP says that see you next Tuesday was all over social media gloating about her relationship with him. Emma literally copy and pasted her exact words and verbiage for her ex to use as he announced how happy he was that she was giving him a second chance. Exact same words. He had many posts about how regretful he was and how he would not miss this chance. Now she's deleted all of her social media, probably out of shame and humiliation. Big Zucchini says, I get where you're coming from, but I think she was in the right. He made vows to your friend and broke them. Her child died, and the whole life she had planned died with it. She showed his new wife just how little his vows mean to him, and how little both women mean to him. Sure, it was entrapment, but it only worked because he's an awful person. If he had stayed loyal to his new wife, then your friend would have had to move on. He didn't. I get that you're worried about who she is now, but she's still grieving her child, relationship, life, future. Anger is a perfectly healthy phase of grief. there is a good chance she goes back to being exactly who you thought she was. Now you know she is capable of standing up for herself and not being so kind that she ends up a doormat. Revolutionary Bad says, maybe I'm a bad person at heart because I think what she did was pretty badass. Men screw over women every day. Women sit around and cry and complain, but this is what they should do. Sweet revenge. And there was a lot of debate below this one whether revenge will give her that closure that she ultimately wants. Whatever happens going forward, I do hope she finds that closure, whether it's through professional help or what she's been through, because she's been through a hell of a lot, and I'm sure it's going to take more than this to get her past it, but I really do wish her the best going forward. And I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now for our next story, it's one that we've covered in the past, but it has a new update attached. As always, I'm going to go through the initial parts of the story, then add the update on the end. Timestamps are always down in the description, so you can skip certain parts if you want to. This is from a throwaway account from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, would I be the arsehole for secretly recording my dad's girlfriend? I'm male 20, and I was a former foster kid. I was never adopted before I aged out, but I was placed with Joe when I was 10. And we were long-term matched by the time I was 14. Joe's the only real family I've ever had, and I consider him my dad, even though the whole adoption thing never happened. When I first moved in with Joe, he was married, but his wife passed away suddenly when I was 12. That was tough on both of us, but we managed to get through it together. Now Joe's been dating his current girlfriend, Sarah, for about 2 years. She didn't come over much, and when she did, it was pretty brief. But 3 weeks ago, she moved into our house because she lost her job and couldn't afford rent anymore. I don't know if she was always like this or if moving in has brought out a different side of her, but Sarah's been acting really strange. Whenever Joe isn't around, she completely ignores me, like won't even look at me when I speak, won't answer questions, nothing. At first I thought it might be some kind of anxiety thing, but now it started getting worse. For example, when Joe's at work and I'm in the lounge watching a movie, she'll come in and start blasting TikToks on her phone or playing music, totally disregarding the fact that I'm there. When I ask her to turn it down, she just flat out ignores me. And it's not just the ignoring that's the problem. She started saying some pretty nasty stuff about me too. She's FaceTimed her friend while I was in the room and talked about how lazy I am and how I don't contribute anything to the household. Yesterday, I was sitting on the sofa watching the new Deadpool movie when she came in and sat across from me, FaceTiming her friend again. She started talking about how she and Joe are trying for a baby and how excited they are because neither of them have had children before. Those exact words. It felt like a slap in the face. I know Joe wouldn't have said something like that because he considers me his son. So either she's making it up or I don't even know what. I haven't told Joe about the things she's been saying to her friend because I don't want to mess up his first real relationship since his wife died. But this situation is seriously eating me up inside. I mentioned the situation to a few people, and a couple of them suggested that I secretly record her behavior when Joe isn't around so that he can see what's really going on. It seemed like a good idea at first, but when I talked to one of my close friends about it, he said that secretly recording her could just make things worse. He thinks it might make Joe like I'm going behind his back and could cause even more tension, especially if Sarah twists it to make me look bad. So would I be the arsehole if I secretly recorded her to show Joe what she's really like, or should I just avoid it altogether? I don't want to seem like I'm trying to sabotage his relationship, but I'm not sure what else to do. November says you need to talk to Joe. You can record it in case he doesn't believe you, but you need to talk to him ASAP. And you might also have to work on your exit plan in case it backfires, which it can. People in love do strange things at times, not the arsehole. Opie says, I don't think Joe would ever kick me out, but you're right, I should have a backup plan just in case. Carl says, so many parents kick out kids when new relationships form and the kid doesn't get on with a new spouse. Don't be blindsided by something that is a huge possibility. You're an adult. Joe's girlfriend could have the very easy argument that you're an adult and need to move out so they can work on furthering their relationship. Having a child together would absolutely be a reason he would side with her, not the arsehole. Out of curiosity, only explain that you lounge and watch TV. Are you contributing to the household in any way? If Joe's girlfriend is contributing to the household, I can see why she would have an issue floating you. Opie says, well, I'm still at college. Americans would call this high school, but it's summer. As a foster care leaver, Joe is paid £300 per week by the government to support me until I finish this. We'll carry on until I finish university or I'm 25, whichever is first. I also get universal credit, which I use for most of my expenses. Opie talks about the high school and says high school usually ends at 18 here, but I've had to redo some learning that I missed. There was a couple of comments, saying that Opie's lazy, they need to get off their ass, etc. Someone saying it's time to fly the nest, build your own life, you're an adult. And this comment replied to him, saying, this young man didn't have a stable home until he was 10. He went through a traumatic childhood, and his life trajectory is not the same as most people's. So developmentally, it may be important for him to take a little longer to feel safe and confident. Hell, he's still finishing his secondary education due to those complications. You have literally no idea what opportunities he does or doesn't have. As long as his father is happy to have him there, who are you to tell him he needs to leave home? What a shitty, presumptuous thing to say. So Opie came in with her first update and said, I decided to talk to Joe directly instead of secretly recording Sarah. I thought it'd be more mature, sensible, and non-confrontational to handle things face to face. My mindset was that if he didn't take it seriously, then I'd consider recording to show him what was really going on. When Joe got home from work, I asked him to talk privately in my room. He seemed a bit confused at first, but I made it clear that I wasn't trying to sabotage his relationship. I just needed to tell him that something Sarah was doing was making me uncomfortable. I reminded him about how she ignores me and mentioned how she plays videos while I'm watching TV. But when I told him, she said that he didn't have any children and that they were trying for a baby. He looked really upset. It felt a bit awkward, but Joe called Sarah into the room to talk with us. He asked her if what I said was true, and she immediately denied it. You could see from her body language that she was lying. I'm not sure if she just never expected me to say anything about how she's been treating me or what. Joe firmly told her that this is my house, not hers, and that while she's a guest here, she can't be disrespecting me. Things got a little heated, and in the end, she apologized to me, though it was through gritted teeth. I accepted the apology, even though I'm not sure it was genuine. After that, Joe asked if I was still comfortable with her staying with us. I said I was because I didn't want to break them up. I just wanted to tell them what was happening. However, she decided to stay at her friend's house for the night, which made the situation feel even more tense. I can tell Joe is really upset now, and I feel super guilty for making him feel this way. He insists it's not my fault. We ended up having kebabs for tea. But even so, I can't shake the feeling that I've caused a huge fight between them. Joe went to bed early, and now I'm stuck feeling bad about the whole situation. I just hope whatever happens next, things will settle down. Thank you, everyone. I remember that last update about having the kebabs for tea because it seemed like such a curveball to me at the time. I don't know why, because it's like really deep stuff going on. But then we had kebabs for tea. Brucey bonus. But OP came in with the latest update about a month later and says, so about a month ago, things seem to be getting better, at least on the surface. Joe and Sarah got back together and I gave them my blessing because Joe really wanted it to work. Sarah even moved back into the house and she was actually being decent to me, which was a change. But honestly, I always felt like she was just putting on an act. I had this nagging feeling that she didn't like me and was only being nice because her other option was to be homeless. It all went downhill really fast though. Less than a week after moving back in, Sarah announced that she was pregnant with Joe's baby, and that's when the real chaos started. She dropped this ultimatum on Joe, either I move out or she'd break up with him and make it impossible for him to be involved with the baby. Joe was torn because he didn't want her or the baby to be homeless, but he also made it clear that I wasn't going anywhere. I'm his family, and he wouldn't kick me out for anything. So Joe told Sarah that they'd have to break up for good after she gave him the ultimatum. He even kicked her out again. That's when things got even crazier. Sarah started messaging Joe saying she was going to get an abortion because she couldn't afford to be pregnant. Joe, being the good guy he is, offered to send her money and even pay for her rent so she wouldn't be homeless, but she kept playing games. Anyway, I was borrowing Joe's iPad one day and I saw that Sarah's iMessage was still linked to it. I accidentally stumbled across her messages to a friend where she admitted she wasn't pregnant at all. She was just lying to get money from Joe and this whole plan to drag him along for months before pretending to get an abortion. She even said she was going to make Joe's life miserable because he kicked her out. I I felt sick to my stomach reading those messages. I took a screen recording of the entire chat, including the phone numbers and everything, so she couldn't deny it or say that it was faked. When I showed Joe, he was completely heartbroken. He's stopped sending her money, but he's now unsure what to do next. He's even thinking of reporting her to the police for fraud, but part of him just wants to cut her out of his life completely and move on. I've never seen Joe this hurt, and I feel so guilty because I know all of this is stressing him out. I'm still in shock over how horrible Sarah turned out to be. Even with everything that's happened before, I never thought she'd do something this low. Now we're just trying to figure out how to move forward from all of this. So OP said that he stopped sending her money, so he had been sending it. So can something legally be done about that? You'd have thought so, right? Because you got proof she's lying about it, but that's why she was getting the money in the first place. So, I hope there is some consequences for her actions in this, but at the same time, I would understand why Joe would want to just separate and be done with that nonsense. She sounds like an absolute toxic individual. Joe sounds like a really decent guy, and I hope whatever happens going forward that he does find someone that he deserves, and rather than an arsehole like Sarah. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the world to me. Thank you so much. And don't forget to join us over on Twitter or X, whatever they call it these days. I know it's a shit show most of the time, but we like to keep our little corner of it pretty wholesome. A couple of wholesome memes here and there, and just sharing your hobbies, your pictures of what you're up to whilst you're listening along. I love to see it. Please get involved. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.